All right, checking audio for YouTube. On a test, 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Common Council meeting for March 3rd, 2025, coming to order at 7 p.m. Please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, Molly, please roll call.
Alderperson Henry? Here. Alderperson Schaefer?
Here.
Alderperson Valdy? Here. Alderperson Wilkin?
Here.
Alderperson Grimmer?
Here.
Alderperson Price?
Here.
Alderperson Burke? Mayor,
Present.
Mayor Eicher?
I'm still-
Administrator Hafner?
Here.
All right, thank you. So item number 4, minutes. Looking for approval of the minutes for February 17th.
I move to approve the minutes of our February 17th meeting.
Second.
Any questions, changes, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Abstentions? Okay, minutes are passed. So item 5, City of Delafield citizens' comments. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to anything on or off the agenda tonight? Yes, please. Yeah, please come up and state your name and address. First, press the bottom bar so the light turns green. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. First time in the seat. My name is Aaron Werner. I live at 600 Sanctuary Lane in Delafield, District 3. I'm here tonight specifically after watching several of the past meetings online regarding the Metropolitan Builders Association claim against the city. I think it's hard what you do. I don't agree with everything the city does. I don't like it's, I'm sure people would say I'm contentious. This is one where I wanted to just come in and actually voice my strong support for what you're doing. If anything, I think you're being way too nice about it. I don't know what happens behind closed doors, but I think the lawsuit is a sham, and I'm surprised that they're choosing to come at Delafield. There's so many questions as a resident about why the NBA would pick on Delafield. Delafield has been very good to builders. They've made millions of dollars here the past 20 years. And the lawsuit, as an attorney myself, does not seem to really make sense. And some of the questions that I hope you ask the NBA if they continue with this lawsuit would be, if they were to be successful, what do they plan on doing with these funds? Are these going to be returned to the builders or the people that actually paid those fees in the community? I'll give you an example on my home. My home was built in 2015. I am not the original builder. I did not pay those fees. If those fees are returned to the builder that built that house, will they be returned to the original owner, including the markup that person might have paid on top of that fee to the builder? Are they going to be returned to the current homeowner? Another question would be for the builders that have gone out of business, is the NBA just going to keep that money? I haven't heard the NBA speak to any of these things despite their hour-long presentation where they spoke down towards this council about a month or two ago, which is available on YouTube as well. With so many things going on good in the city for the builders, the residents, and the council, I hope the NBA will stop this. I think the NBA is a good organization, and frankly, I'm just surprised. I did speak to a builder in Delafield 2 weeks ago, that had no idea this lawsuit was even going on, somebody that I trust. So I just question who at the NBA is driving this lawsuit, if not the builders of Delafield. So it's really pretty simple. I just think I support what you do, and I hope you fight this vigorously. I hope this does not settle, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Sharon.
Any other citizens wishing to speak for citizens' comments? Okay, seeing none, citizens' comments are now closed. So now we have item 6, a special order of business, a presentation by the Honorable Timothy K., Municipal Judge regarding Lake Country Municipal Court. So although we know who you are, just introduce yourself, please. State your name and address, Judge K. Exactly, and press the bottom bar. Thank you.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Alderman, for having me here. I try to travel around once a year to all the different jurisdictions to give a little update of our court, kind of a state of the annual court speech. I put together a letter, and many times the letter kind of repeats itself. I kind of change things around a little bit here and there, but it kind of reads the same year after year, but it's there for a reason. It kind of highlights the things I think are important for our court and for what I think citizens want to hear about our court. Again, if you have any questions about what I do, give me a call. Call my clerk, Terry, at the courthouse. She's fantastic. Chief worked with her a couple of times, and she answers all the questions, and she probably knows a lot more than me. If I have a hard question, I ask her, like you ask your questions. But basically, our state of the court for Lake Country, it's my first time here. So, I mean, I was here once or twice filling in for Judge Hausman, and I love Mike. He was a mentor in so many different ways. When I first started, I could tell you stories where, I call him up, and how do you handle this kind of case? How do you do this? He was really big with the kids. He had different ideas about grades and things like that. And a lot of the things that he did and that I've learned to latch onto are very, very similar. So we're similar that way. All of you understand that you all merged into our court. We took over all of your old cases. Most of them were very well cleaned up. There's very few that were not really done. But there's a couple that come through, a motion reopened that's a year and a half old, or an old thing that Mike had there for a year and a half, making sure the kid got his nose cleaned up or whatever, and so we get those and kind of follow along with the same philosophy and thinking. So, the point is we're very similar in those regards. We get along very well with the chief and his staff. We don't interact, I don't directly interact very much because that's the way it kind of is. He does his stuff with the clerks and I do my stuff with the clerks, and in between we meet in the middle. But I've never had a problem with any of the chiefs, sitting down and talking to me about this case or that case, or why didn't you do that? And there might be something they don't like what happened, but we all respect each other, and I don't tell them what to do, and they don't tell me what to do, and it works out pretty good. So you guys are our 21st municipality to join our court. And I know you're very, very busy, but I just feel a little bit compelled to tell you the reason how Lake Country formed. It was years ago, back in the late 80s, and we had one judge, Pat Snyder. I don't know if you knew him at all, very well-known judge from Oconomowoc. And he was the chief judge for Waukesha County Circuit Court. And he could see right away that our county was expanding by leaps and bounds. Back, think of it, 70s and 80s, the subdivisions were going crazy. You guys were building, Harlan was building, was left and right, left and right. And what happened with all of the small municipalities, the traffic cases were always put at the end of the day, at the end of the calendar. And so what happened was the more felonies and misdemeanor cases that were going through court, and if they had jury trials and all the judges were, busy doing that, many times at 2:30, 3 o'clock, the judge would come in and tell the people that were waiting for their very heinous traffic ticket, go home, come back tomorrow. Well, you tell a guy who's been waiting all day long for a $99 ticket to take off a second day of work and come back tomorrow, those guys got pretty stoked. So he could see that smaller municipalities were getting bumped. They're getting bumped, adjourned. It wasn't a very good thing. So he was very instrumental in suggesting highly that many of the smaller municipalities band together and form their own municipal court. And back then, Bill Chapman, I talk all the time about him, he happened to represent the town of Merton, the village of Merton, city of Oconomowoc, town of Oconomowoc. He represented about 8 or 9 different jurisdictions. And that was key because he could go to each of the boards and convince them that this was a good thing for everybody. And we were really the first intergovernment thinking of all that stuff. You talk about the fire departments merging, we get the firemen beat by 20 years, easy. So that was crucial because the first 8, maybe 9 municipalities, they formed a court, and that's how it started. And then over time, each other jurisdiction moves in, and that's fine. And even some of the old timers that are older than me now, Donnie Weimer, who's our court administrator, always had a soft spot for the city of Delafield. I think he grew up in Hog Alley, and as a kid he rode horse back and forth, and he was always talking about that. But so he always liked the city and always had the dream that to make our court complete, if you look on a map, it would be very cool if the city joined our court, and you guys did. So together with all of our little 21 municipalities, over the years, we have grown by a lot. And what I mean by that is, if you compare our, well, we are the largest joint municipal court under one roof in the entire state. So we've grown from a little town of Oconomowoc, village of Harlan, to pretty big. And we're bigger than Brookfield, bigger than the city of Waukesha, bigger than Menominee Falls. And if you compare us to the other municipal courts in the state, there's probably about 250 municipal courts, there's about 250 circuit court judges, 250 municipal judges roughly. But of the 250 municipal courts in the state, we are the 4th largest in the state. Only behind Milwaukee, can't beat Milwaukee. Madison and Kettle Moraine, or Mid-Moraine, which is above us, and they've got, they're a joint court, but their judge, he travels. So we're pretty big. Now, I mention it because in the end, if you look at my stats that I kind of brought, it shows that when we collect our fees, well, let's just go to the very last page, my pie chart. I like the pie chart because all the elected officials say, what the heck is that guy talking about? What does it really mean for us, okay? This is it. This is the magic. So on one ticket, for example, a typical ticket, $124, typical intermediate speeder, blowing down highway or road to Delafield here. What happens with that fine money? Well, with that fine money, your municipality, the blue, retains 40% of it, okay? The state, they get 25% just because they are a state. The state, literally, if you read through the statutes, they let us exist. Like the state lets the city exist. And it's weird, but they get their cut. They get 25%. They don't do anything. We're not listening.
You are being recorded.
The Waukesha jail gets 8%. We have warrants and people that go there, so that's fine. And then 27% LCMC, we keep that. So that is what we live off of. That 27% of each ticket funds our budget. So if our budget is $350,000, pays for me, the clerk, the copy machine, the insurance, the rent. We always pay rent to the city. I'm very cautious of that. But it covers all of our expenses, and therefore we don't go back and ask the towns or cities to help fund our court. Now, that's very, very unique. Most other municipalities throughout the entire state, they'll bring in $30,000, $40,000. It won't be enough to cover their expenses. They go back to their boards. They say, we need another 15 grand, another 20 grand to make it all work. And that's kind of where a lot of municipalities are, so we don't do that. So we're very fortunate that is not the case. We live off that 27%, or the $27. So when the courts first started, the first 9 municipalities, they all had to pay in the first couple of years to get things working. And then when the court started saving revenue, not making money, but saving revenue, then a lot of that money was reimbursed. It was all reimbursed back to the original municipalities. So that's a good thing. You guys are the 21st, very proud of that. Next thing I just want to touch base on, we have the village of Lac LaBelle. Basically, town of Oconomowoc, you read in the paper, and Lac LaBelle combined, so now our town is now the Lac LaBelle village municipality. We'll change our letterhead and stuff like that as time goes on. And I kind of wanted to wait a while because, you know, we got a couple lawsuits pending. I don't foresee them going very far, but we don't want to change our stationery and have to change it back in 8 months for something. Talked about our budget, so that paragraph, I kind of talked about it. Last year, our estimated revenue surplus at the time of doing our budget was about $7,800. Whenever we have our audits, and we do have an audit once a year, usually when the audits go through all of their stuff, they usually find that we actually have more revenue. So this is a projected, you know, very good estimate, very good rough ballpark of that $7,800. So every year we've been making a little bit of money that way. We save it in case we need to, add on or move or whatever. I don't foresee that, but we do have a fund built for that. I always compliment our bailiffs. Chief James Schuyler, got to mention him. He was a Village of Summit chief. He retired 25 years ago. He became our bailiff. He worked for us longer than he was the chief of Summit, but he retired this year, and I really do miss him. He was very, very, very good for our court. And we have now several deputies that come to our court. We have 2 deputies now, and it works out nice. We have one in the front, one in the back, and they're fantastic. Sometimes in court, people get very contentious about the smallest things, I had one woman the other day, she was screaming that I was a swear word because I imposed a cost of $35 to have her case dismissed. Well, she was more mad at me for that than some guy that got a fine for $500. Who knows? But the bailiffs are good. They kind of look at everybody and they give them that cop look, and people pay attention. So that's good. Our court staff, we have 2 full-time clerks, 2 part-time clerks. They work very, very well with each other. They cross-train, they cover each other. Never had a problem of not getting stuff done or reports done in time. They're very well received by the public. I don't get any complaints. I'm sure there are people that are upset about something, but they take it, and at the window, right, Clerk Molly, people, they come up to pay their tax, whatever, and they're madder than heck, and they're banging the table, and you treat them nice and with sweetness, and they usually kind of soften up, and so we're very fortunate. We got good clerks. Our administrative staff, again, Don Weimer, he puts together a budget. We meet once a month with several of the police chiefs, and that would be with Chief James Pfister, City, Chief Michael Hartett of Summit, Chief Torrin Misko of Heartland, and Chief Daniel Neumer from Shaniqua. And our person that's in charge of putting the operations together is Captain Lisa Panis. So we meet once a month, talk about bills. I don't get to vote on that committee. I just help advise. So they vote on copy machine, paper, ink, just stuff of the day. And it keeps us running very, very smoothly, so we don't run into any big snags. And, a new table or something. We bought a new podium for the bailiffs, and it's little things, but it just helps that we meet, talk about common issues, and move forward. So I talk a lot. I try to, again, go around to all the municipalities. And the last piece of paper I handed out is called Fines by Municipality. When I first started doing this, my old clerk told me, Judge, when you go talk to the elected officials, don't talk about money. Well, you know what? That's what you guys are about. So this is a chart of all the courts or all the municipalities that belong to our court. And you can see where you fall in and where the other villages and cities fall. Now, you guys only started with our court really in May. I think chiefs are writing tickets in March-ish, April-ish, but by the time they get to court and people pay, it's May. So January, February, March, April, your revenue was very small. You're just getting going. But the last, 8 months, you're up to $40,000. So if you kind of extrapolate that out through the year, I'm guessing next year you'll be around 70, 75, 80. I think I've noticed an uptick in the number of citations with the city of Delafield. That's good.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's good. It's
Different
good.
conversation.
No, in most of them, the vast majority of the tickets that come through our court are speeders. And there's a lot of speeders out there. And you need a police presence to maintain. I mean, I don't know how much time you got, but I remember in COVID, and all the chiefs, the captains, the sheriffs, they told basically all their deputies and policemen, stand down, do not have interactions with people. You don't know if you're going to get COVID. And back then, we didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah. Don't be pulling over a guy for a speeding ticket and get sick, and then you're out for a month. We're hurting. You do the felonies, you do the fires, you do the bank robbers, but, well, after about 3-4 weeks of that, we all notice it, right? People going down 94 and Highway 16, they're all going 95, 100, because they knew the cops were pulling people over. That's just human nature. So you do need police just to be there, and that is good for our society. It really is. Speaking of our policemen, even the city officers, we have very well informed, and I guess for lack of a better word, nice. We have nice cops. And they're nice in court. Yeah, they're kind of grumpy. If you pull over, 5 speeders in a day and 5 guys yell at you, you'd be a little grumpy, but they're still respectful. They still do their job. I've had many, many trials where it's usually the pro sayers. They come to court and they want to tell that cop. They pointing their finger at him, and we go through the whole thing, and the officer's very nice and does his thing, and the citizen gets to speak whatever he wants to say and find the guy guilty, and the citizen gets up, he walks over to the officer, shakes his hand. Hey, thanks for patrolling, and you did a really good job. But the thing is, most of the trials, the defendants and the policemen, they walk out together because the citizen got to air his differences and figure out where the sign was and where he shouldn't have been going, and it's pretty good. Most of them. Some are pretty contentious, but that's the way it is. So that's the fines by municipality. You guys are doing great. You're on track, and we fit you in the calendar just fine. We juggle a couple of things around, but on Friday mornings, I'm very efficient. We start at 8:15. I give my little opening remarks for about a good 10 minutes. That usually educates the people about what they can do and not do, and we get rolling. So the idea is that I think citizens who are there, they don't want to be there for 3 or 4 hours. If they're there for 8:15 thing, and I'm very fast. By the time their name is called, by the time they walk up to the podium, I've already announced their name, the charges, citations, the number of points they could be charged with, the potential fine. So a lot of the stuff I say before they even get to the podium, they walk up, they enter a plea, we do an amendment, they get time to pay, they walk out. So that 8:15 calendar, we're done by 9:20, 9:30. And most citizens are pretty happy. They got stayed there for an hour, got their thing done. Then we start the 9:30 calendar. Then we got the 10:15 calendar. We got the 11 o'clock calendar. So you guys fit in just nicely with our rotation, and works good. If you hear any complaints, pass them on to the mayor or to my clerk. My clerks are much nicer in sugarcoating complaints, but we don't really get too many. I'm sure there's people that are ticked off about something, but I think most will understand it. So.
Very good.
Thank
Are
you
you
for letting me be
open
here.
for any questions or no?
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions for Judge Kay?
Judge Kay, you mentioned that other municipalities, on occasion, the court will go back to the municipality asking for more money. Do you
Yes.
attribute that to the economies of scale achieved
Yes.
by 20-plus members?
Yes.
And are there any other reasons?
That's the main factor. So if you had, let's say, 21 municipalities banded here, if you had 2 or 3 that did their own court, or a single municipality had their own court, like you guys were single for a long time, well then, if you have 21 that share the cost of one judge, one clerk, one rent, it's very much more economies of scale. So instead of paying for 20 judges, you're paying a piece of one judge.
Thank you.
And it's not trivial to ginning up the tickets or stuff like that. It's just, we're very efficient.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. I'd just say we but for Honorable Houseman, we would have joined a long time ago, but
Yes.
it was a blessing for this community for almost 2 decades, I think, and we appreciated his, was it how much, 4 decades? Oh
4
my
decades,
gosh.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
slated him, so 4 decades. So, but for him, we would have joined a long time ago. We've got a great, you've got a great reputation, and the transition was really smooth. And we're not revenue driven; we're compliance driven. So we appreciate your approach, and
Yes.
thank you for doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Any other
Thanks for coming.
questions?
Thank you.
Give me a call, and I'm always around.
Awesome. All right, on to our next item. This is an announcement of matters for possible closed session. Council reconvene in open session after completion of the closed session or to consider the balance of the agenda. So I'm looking for a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to the following provisions. A motion to convene in closed session pursuant to provisions of Wisconsin statutes 1985 1G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral written advice concerning strategy be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or is likely to become involved, more specifically conferring with legal counsel regarding the impact fee appeal filed by the Metropolitan Builders Association of Greater Milwaukee.
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Molly?
That was Price and Henry, right? That happened real quick.
That was Wilkin and Henry.
No, Price.
Price and Henry. Oh, my ears are up.
All right. Alderperson Henry.
Aye.
Alderperson Schaefer.
Aye.
Alderperson Valdy.
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Aye.
Alderperson Grimmer.
Aye.
Alderperson Price.
Aye.
Alderperson Burke.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we are now in closed session at 7:26 PM. Ready? Okay, looking for a motion to come back into open session.
So moved.
Second.
Alderperson Henry.
Aye.
Alderperson Schaefer.
Aye.
Alderperson Valdy.
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Aye.
Alderperson Grimmer.
Aye.
Alderperson Price.
Aye.
Alderperson Berg.
Aye.
Okay, we're now back in open session at 8:08 PM. No discussion or action regarding what happened in closed session. 8 consent agenda. There is none. So on to boards, committees, and commission reports. Licenses.
None.
Plan commission, these might be quick because we did just have a meeting, but.
Was this a report? A report on Voodoo requesting their liquor license to be opened in the very near future. I know there was interest in that, so I will report on that.
So they're close,
Very close.
super close, okay. Plan commission,
Nothing before the council tonight. Last meeting was on the 26th. Nothing of substance at this time.
all right. Lake Welfare Committee,
We meet next week.
okay. Park and Rec Commission, Tree Board,
No meeting, no report.
okay. Public Works Committee,
No meeting, no report. Next meeting's Wednesday night.
all right. Delhart Commission, there was no meeting. Next meeting is I think this month. Police Commission,
No meeting, no report.
all right. Library Board, I think there was a meeting.
We did have a meeting.
right.
So the highlights are remember the bookstore is open the first and third Saturdays of the month, and Culver's fundraiser is on the last Tuesday of the month. We're going to stick with that, going every month instead of moving it around. So go there. They give, we get a good amount of money for the Friends of the Library for that. So
Is that anytime, all day,
it's
last
not.
Tuesday?
It's like 5 to 8, I think,
All right,
Which Culvers again?
in Wales.
at the high
So-
school.
Do that, and then March, we are not having a meeting in March for no business, there's no business, so we will be meeting again in April. Yes,
Okay, Zoning Board of Appeals,
no meeting.
all
no report.
right. Promotional and Tourism Commission,
We have a meeting next week, March 11th, 7:30 a.m. right in here in the council chambers with our new director.
oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Have her come in and say hi, or suggest that she does. Again, I think she was introduced. Lake Country Fire and Rescue Commission. I don't think there was I don't think there was a meeting. All right, Lake Country Fire and Rescue Board.
There was a meeting, I was absent, sick for it, but the March meeting is canceled. There is an April meeting. And I would refer you to the minutes, and from my review of communications and minutes there, the thing that I know is pressing is the audit, which there are some ongoing discussions on the 2024 audit.
You are correct. I did actually attend the meeting.
Oh.
Yes, so I'm sorry to call you
No,
out when you weren't there.
please.
No, that is an open issue, just closing out loose strings from the audit and questions and answers and that, so agreed.
Thank you.
Deer Management Committee,
No meeting, no report. Next meeting is March 18th.
the deer are doing well, I'll tell you that. Too well. Okay. Other committees, commissions, and boards, none. Unfinished business, there's none. I'll go through my list next month next meeting in this month for employees. But I will announce something I saw a while back, and we did finally receive them. I'm plagiarizing from City of Oconomowoc. I saw traffic pedestal barricade sign announcing on a particular property that there was a public hearing pending on this property. And I thought, aside from all the ways that people have a way to communicate with phones and email and postings in City Hall, it looked like a good idea. So we've got, Tom went and, with Molly, and designed a sign, and we've got 5. So when there's a public hearing on a piece of property, there's gonna be a tripod pedestal, or,
Sandwich board.
what is it called?
Sandwich board.
Yeah, sandwich board type sign, that says this particular property is subject to a public hearing at the end of this month. If you have any questions, call City Hall, and with a QR code and stuff. So just to increase awareness when something's going on, as opposed to someone who doesn't get email or doesn't look at the website or doesn't get Lake Country Reporter or Waukesha Freeman, and you'll see it before you see people digging. Okay, so that's something that's in place. So aside from that, I've got nothing else on the mayor's report. Let's see, new business. Discussion possible action regarding dog licensing for the city of Delafield, including viability of city dog licensing ordinance and enforcement is requested by Alderperson Grimmer. So, I know the chief is here. Why don't you come up, please? You don't have to state your name and address, chief.
I'll introduce the topic. Thanks, Molly, for putting together the packet. My intent with this item, following the discovery of compliance with our dog licensing at what appears to be less than 10%. My initial goal was to ask for a public hearing to remove the ordinance in its entirety, and acknowledge that after speaking with the chief, that there wasn't a huge benefit to having the ordinance, either financially or practically. However, state law requires us to have said ordinance. And so I guess the discussion for the council is to leave things as they are and license and collect less than 10% of ordinances and not increase our costs or efforts, and just be satisfied with that, or alternatively to pursue, as Molly's indicated in the packet, other alternatives to improve compliance and generate revenue. I thought it was worth discussing the possibility of having what looks like the state allows veterinary clinics to potentially collect, which might improve licensing and revenue. So that's where my head's at. I'm just curious what the council would think. Or, Chief, your opinion.
Yeah, why don't you give an overview of what your opinion is, please?
Well, my opinion is, first on our side of the house, we can increase the number of times we are checking those licenses when we interact with a dog. So we're essentially going to implement a policy as opposed to just kind of a expectation where if we take an enforcement action, even if it is a warning for a dog at large, a loud dog, or anything relating to a dog, City Hall is going to utilize the same system we have for the Bleecker Street permits and the golf cart permits to provide us a list of the dogs that are licensed. If they're not on that list, we will then give them we like 10 days to get their dog licensed. We can then verify compliance and kind of get a little bit of enforcement action on that. That's a very easy step for us to take. However, I believe we estimated, Molly, correct me if I'm wrong, 1,700 dogs about?
Yeah, 1,706 dogs based on,
I can tell you that dogs at large and barking dogs and those kinds of cases, we see about 5 to 6 a year. So, and usually the dogs at large, it's the same dog multiple times. So we will do those things, but I can't see a significant change in those numbers based off that. I mean, we're talking tens.
And I wouldn't encourage you to do those things if it's a net gain of 5 or 6 dogs.
Right. And
the manpower is better spent elsewhere.
and I understand that and appreciate that. But what we can do along with City Hall is continue education in the community, especially since I actually discovered, because of this issue, and it timed well, as Molly put in her memo, the county has eliminated their humane officer program. And so the person fortunately did not lose their job. They are just now dedicated to the dog bite, violent dog, and rabies control program. And so the humane officer that was doing dog bites and making sure quarantine procedures were followed and was also doing animal welfare compliance is now just focusing on dog bites and violent dogs. And so that's a significant resource at the county level that is no longer available to us. They're available to consult, but they're not available to essentially run those investigations as they have been trained in the past. So a large portion of the funding for that comes from dog licenses, because we share the dog license fees at the county level, and that was paying for humane officers. And so knowing that we have relied on our humane officer at the county level in the past, I did research training an officer as a humane officer. I do have interest, but as with anything, that's time, that's money. You know, we wouldn't add on, so we wouldn't incur, you know, officer salary expenses, but it would be their time and the training for that. And as Molly stated, right now our dog licensing doesn't even cover our Hawes contract, which is really just a contract that will put a dog that we find in a safe place until the owner can claim it, and also respond out for wildlife that is contained. They can take those as well, so they help us out. But that contract is not even covered by our dog licensing. So, you know, to bolster our efforts, we've agreed that we can do a community education program through any of our outreach programs, whether it's National Night Out, our Citizens Academy, Facebook, you know, really pushing on those, and then seeing what, you know, alternatives we have to just kind of just get that knowledge, work with the vet clinics in the area to just say, hey, you're not just given your dog license for a shiny tag and then nothing. You're helping the community of dogs at large, animals at large, be safer. And so hopefully, you know, they're not seeing a direct impact to them, because that's kind of one of the concerns we see is, well, what do I get out of licensing my dog? It's not really what you get, it's what the community gets. And so if we kind of advertise, hey, this is what your funds are going towards, we're hoping to increase the compliance, because if they love their dogs, hopefully they love animals in general. And we can kind of lean on that to get better compliance through just public education. So that's the method I would prefer. We do have those resources available to us, and I think that's, you know, the best route going forward. And then continuing what we're doing with, you know, our ordinance enforcement for those dogs that continuously are at large, dogs with the dog bites, violent dogs, things like that, where we do have the enforcement, which almost every time we deal with that, that person's also getting a dog license citation if they're not licensed.
Does our statute require that any dog outside is supposed to have a collar on with their license? Is that what the statute is?
I believe it's supposed to be displayed.
So we have 1,700 dogs running around without their license. We're saying
It's just, it's very difficult for anyone at a distance to tell what's on a specific collar. But yeah, I believe it. They have to display their rabies and their city license on the collar. It's just something that we can't really check.
Assuming full compliance, what's our dog license fee?
Just recently raised to 17 and 22. 17 for spayed, neutered, and 22 for intact.
that's $34,000 of potential money.
There's the math.
That was quick.
Well, so it seems that, I recall going back that our Hawes contract seemed to be covered back a decade ago, and the fact that it isn't right now, and that's just to help the dogs that are running around loose. So, I mean, I think some awareness effort would, just to get us above water on that contract, I think is a good goal, and not snatch dogs that are watching the 4th of July parade. And check their licenses.
You only got to get,
Yeah,
you need to do it once or
so,
twice.
I mean,
you had those guys coming in like that.
So again, it's not, this isn't a goal for revenue, it's a goal to just do what's right. So, you know, I think the public awareness efforts is a good place to direct staff, is that a good?
I mean, my goal would be to eliminate the ordinance because I think it's obnoxious but obviously that's not a possibility. I would want to investigate because if we have to keep the ordinance, I think the education's good, easy and gentle, but bringing down barriers to getting your dog licensed, it takes an effort to come into City Hall to do it. Is there
Do
a,
it online.
Do it online.
It's online now.
They don't have
it's
to.
online now, okay.
Yeah, they
so
don't
there
have to,
you
we
go.
mail it to them. They don't have to step foot in the door.
All right.
There's some public education, right?
Is it worth investigating, reaching out to some of the clinics, the veterinarian clinics, and just seeing if they would be willing to take up the mantle with the, you know, the dog or the, do we have a cat licensing, by the way?
No,
It's not required by the statute, so many
Specious.
municipalities are getting rid of
Specious.
that.
Give the vet $2 to collect the money. He probably would,
Well,
because they see all those dogs with the collar on, they would
we
know.
we have a couple, we have more than one vet, I think, in the city, and we've got Petco and a pet groomer. I mean, I think maybe if we direct staff to just reach out to them, maybe work with them.
Yeah.
To say, can you help people understand they need to license their animals and give them the information?
Yeah.
And in our city communicator.
my cats don't even wear collars, they're house cats. But I actually am wondering about animals that are in a household that's hoarding animals or animal abuse. I mean, I think most animals dogs especially, that I meet, they're clearly loved, clearly disciplined. I know the name of every dog in my neighborhood, and I don't even own a dog. I love Mary Daniel because I love her dog, and
only a
she
reason.
knows it. But I'm just wondering about the hoarding of animals or animals that are mistreated. That's my concern without licensing or a fee to cover that.
It's an issue that we face. Fortunately, not too often, but it's what we know about and it's what we don't know about. The Humane Officer Program through the county was our #1 resource in addressing those issues. With its elimination, that's why I'm seeking, to put an officer through. It's a full certification program with the Department of Agriculture. And so it's a state-level certification with a few weeks of training. And so it's something that I'm pretty sure everyone on the board would agree is important to the community, even if it is only utilized once or twice a year. We all care about our animals, and we want to make sure we still have those resources available to us. So that's...
Can you let us know what a budget number is for that, and that'll help us understand how we can pay for it if we get actually people to comply with the licensing program?
Absolutely.
Know what I mean?
The training itself is rather inexpensive. It's the time.
I know, that's exactly. And then we talked about resources, so
Yep.
I think that'd be good as a next step. Agreed?
Thank you.
Can we do something in the communicator? I'll volunteer to write it if we need it, because I got 5 points right here. It's half.
All right, you're up, you're on. Mark volunteered.
I think there's awareness, right? Do I need one? Awareness. Gee, I can do it online. You're an animal owner, you care about animal welfare. If you know that this money helps support our animal welfare activities, you have a public responsibility, et cetera. I think there's a lot of good motivation there if people understand it.
And get a little QR code at the end that takes you right to the
Ooh, boom.
Good.
Do we do anything for, annually to send out to people who were registered for who had registered last year to remind them or to,
Sorry, your dog died.
well, I mean, right, I understand that, but
No,
if it's likely that they still have the dog
I agree.
going forward, so sending reminders out specifically to the people who were registered.
And all that that $24 is spent on that. You know what I mean? Let's help people do the right thing, am I right?
17.
You don't have it on your calendar to mail renewal?
We actually do send out a notice with the tax bills. There's an insert, it's included on the insert that tells them to go and get their license for this next year, tells them where to go on the website. I will say largely that is probably not read, judging by some of the questions that we get regarding tax bills.
All right.
Also, not everybody who's living in the property is the tax.
Right,
person.
so, we do, I believe, we do for at least the online ones where they're typing in the information, collect legible email addresses, so even sending out a little blast email would be relatively low effort and perhaps a decent return on some of those folks that might have forgotten. So I think I had noted to kind of start some of that type of reminders for folks that I think they may have mailed out reminders in the past to individual people? No? Okay, so it's always just been the tax bill. So and Facebook posts, we have a pretty strong Facebook presence going right now. So that kind of reminder to start just with that more educational, external educational aspect, I think could help.
All right. Anything else? We've got Mark's volunteering. We're talking about
Thank you.
future
Gold
stuff.
star to Mark tonight.
And you're going to get us budget numbers so we can revisit this at the budget time to tell people to hop to it again. Does that work?
Absolutely.
All right, thank
And
you.
then just to clarify, the other directive was to contact some of the local clinics and see if there might be an opportunity for partnership, if that's something that we can do legally.
Yeah,
Agreed. Thanks, Chief.
thanks, Chief.
Okay, next item up is approval of vouchers payable report for reporting dates of February 18th through May 4th and January 31st.
I move to approve the voucher list.
Second?
Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Okay, we're paying our bills. A report of city officials, number 13, city administrator.
One thing to report on this evening, a few meetings ago, I had let you know that as early as 2029, the DOT will be replacing the Highway C bridge over I-94. But we do have the opportunity with that project to do some aesthetic enhancements of the bridge if we choose to do it. I'm having a meeting with a DOT official this Thursday to better understand that program. But it's my understanding that if we choose to do some aesthetic improvements, that federal funding would cover 80% of those improvements and the city would have to match 20%. And that's up to 1.5% of the total project cost can be for aesthetic improvements. It can include things such as city logo on the bridge, decorative railings, maybe a certain stain color or some kind of form liners to give the concrete decks some kind of an aesthetic treatment. But the one thing that you can't have on there, I'm not sure why, but you can't have the name of the city. So you can't have it say City of Delafield, but you can have the sailboat logo up there or something similar. So just want to bring that to your attention so you can start putting some thoughts into that. Maybe look at other bridges around the area that have some similar features and start to think of some ideas about what we may or may not want to do.
When would the designs and things have to be submitted?
I'm going to find that out on Thursday, exactly how the process works. Would they provide a consultant that would give us some conceptual drawings of what different options would look like and things like that?
Okay.
All right, thanks, Tom. Molly, city clerk.
Just a brief update on the spring primary election. It was a low turnout election. I did kind of expect that. I estimated about 10%. It came out at 11.5. So we had 662 people that voted. Our in-person absentee, we had a whole 46 people that came in. Absentee mail returned at 175 voters, and we had 441 voters at the polls. I like to keep track of the at polls versus absentee because I think it's interesting. Usually we're about 25 to 30% absentee, and then obviously the rest being at the polls. And then we kind of stuck true to that, a little bit more absentee for this one than some of the other ones. But next one is April 1st.
All right, and when does absentee voting start for that?
Oh, I want to say March 18th. Let me just pull up a calendar here. Oh, I got one on. Yep, March 18th.
March 18th, absentee voting starts. So
And what's the, is it that Friday then before, what would that be, the 28th?
Yep, so the in-person absentee is going to be March 18th through the 28th. We will be mailing out absentees next week, Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Item C, city treasurer, the report is in the packet. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact staff. Any council requests for future agenda items? 3, 2, 1, seeing none. Correspondence is in the packet. And so now 15, announcement for matters for possible closed session again. Motion to convene in closed session pursuant to the following provisions. Motion to convene in closed session pursuant to provisions of Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1E, deliberating or negotiating purchasing of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed sessions, more specifically to discuss the proposed funding options from the draft of the Wisconsin Policy Forum Lake Country Fire and Rescue Funding Study.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please, Molly.
Alderperson Henry.
Aye.
Alderperson Schaefer.
Aye.
Alderperson Valdy.
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin.
Aye.
Alderperson Grimmer.
Aye.
Alderperson Price.
Aye.
Alderperson Berg.
Aye.
Okay, we will now be in closed session. There's no other further business after this other than adjournment. Okay, it is 9:12 PM on March 3rd, 2025, Common Council meeting. Looking for a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
I heard Wilkin and Schaefer. Any preference between the two of you?
You got it.
Wilkin beat him.
Alderperson Henry?
Aye.
Alderperson Schaefer?
Aye.
Alderperson Valdy?
Aye.
Alderperson Wilkin?
Aye.
Alderperson Gerber?
Aye.
Alderperson Price?
Aye.
Alderperson Burke?
Aye.
Okay, seeing no further business, we are now, we're open session, 9:12, meeting's now adjourned. Thank you.